I want to start with the first slide of what is SAP Business One looks like. And in general, it looks like that. It's very plain. It has a lot of tabs, a lot of fields. Not all of them are relevant for you. And when we put the B1 Usability Package, then the screen looks a bit different. So first we see some color on the screen. We have some validation on account balance that changes the color based on some figures. We have a mandatory field. We have a flag. We have some buttons. We have a user-defined field that was moved as a checkbox, or some other user-defined fields that have golden arrows around them. We've hidden a tab, we've added a tab, and there are many other things that obviously I cannot show you on this slide, but I will show you in the live presentation, because this presentation today is mostly on the system. I just have a few slides to explain some idea. So it really is all about customizing, and customizing is a big thing with SAP Business One, because we know that SAP Business One comes as kind of a shelf product. I mean, it does many things, but in most cases, it doesn't fit in 100% to your specific needs. And this is what we're here to do. And the idea is that we can save a lot of money when we use one product for all our customization needs, rather than to do a custom code, and I will address it in a second. Okay, so the idea is to have a system that works in perfect harmony, meaning you don't have here a patch, there a patch, here a custom code, and it becomes like a mishmash, it becomes like one big complex system that is very hard to maintain on the long term. So in general about Boyum, those figures are a few months old, but I guess they've risen since. We have more than 3,300 customers. We have installation in over 70 countries and above 55,000 users, which probably makes us one of the most sold add-ons in the SAP Business One space. We have a list of products, but we are going to focus today on the usability package, which is our core product for customization, and then on the print and delivery, which allows us to do emailing and saving and printing and other business logic around that. So those are the products we're going to focus at today. We do have other products like the budget, which displays the actual figures against the budget. We have the time task, which allows you to plan a task and then to register time against it and then to build a client. The B1 MailChimp, if you're familiar with the MailChimp platform for newsletters, then the B1 MailChimp is an integration of Business One emails into that MailChimp system online. And the B1 Document Manager allows you to attach documents into the system, not to the attachment folder, but more into a folder where we divide documents by business partners and items, and we add meta tags into those documents that later make it very easy for us to search for them. Okay, so as I mentioned, I'm going to focus on those two products. When you install the usability package, you have all those other modules installed as well, but they do have their own licensing. So, for example, if you bought the print and delivery licensing, then you're only going to be able to enable that module, not the other ones. They're going to be there, but you will not be able to use them. I'm going to start with the usability package. As I mentioned, that's the core. It's like a toolbox. It has many things. Really, it's hard to say what it does, because sometimes it's up to your imagination to say where this product can go. So we can do new navigation, and we can design the screen, and we can make validations and business logic, and we can do automation and many, many things. And really, I prefer to show you that live, subject by subject, where you get to see most of the functionality. But what I want to focus on is the next question. In general, I'm sure you spent a lot of money on those customization, and I wish we would have met sooner. But the idea is that when you need a customization in SAP Business One, then you know the process. We need to put a developer in place, usually from the partner side. We need to do scoping and coding and testing and training and maintaining that code, because with every new version of SAP Business One, SAP changes their SDK, their software development kit, and then it makes some problems with our custom add-ons, and we need to maintain them and fix them. And in general, this process is very pricey, and it takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of your efforts to maintain them. So what we provide is that we provide a package that allows you to do most of those things when you pay once. Okay, so you don't have to pay again and again for every new customization you will need in the next 10 years, but you take a package that does most of it for you. So I want to start with what I can do in Business One, or configure more likely in B1UP within 5 minutes. So I'm going to move into my system. I'm going to go into my sales order, and you see we've changed the screen. It has a bit of colors, it has a lot of buttons, and the first example I want to show you is when I choose a customer and I choose here a few of the items. Let's say that I want to set here the discount for 30 and here for 12, and I'm going to click on add, and I'm going to get the following message. The next line have more than 10% discount, which is not allowed. It's missing an H. Line 1, line 3, do you want to continue? Okay, so what I did is I clicked on the add, and the system initiated business logic that we've added, and it's basically highlighting those lines that do not fit the process. Okay, I could have done it instead of from the add. I could have done it from one of the buttons, or I could have done it once I, tab out of the discount and then to catch the user and say this is not allowed, or maybe it should just be a warning and let him to continue. Okay, so that's a configuration of 5 minutes really. Let's talk subject by subject on what we can do with the B1UP. So the first thing is the screen designer. I don't know if you know, SAP did a lot of work in designing Screen in 9.1. I'm letting you so you know, and I will tell you what's available with SAP and then what's available with Boyum, because there is sometimes misunderstanding. So in terms of screen design, really we can do a lot of things. I'm going to move into a business partner, and you're going to see that in that business partner I have here another tab that has a few fields, and it has some colors and all of that. But let me start from the basic. So in general, if I want to hide a field, let's say I want to hide the technician field. So I'm going to right click, hide this item. I'm going to get this screen. I don't really care about what it does right now. I'm just going to click on update and OK, and the field has been hidden. The SAP in 9.1 introduced something called UI Designer, and it allows us to do the same thing. However, that's all they do. They hide field, they move a field, they put a user-defined field on the screen, and I will show you what additional things that we can do on top of those 3 basic functions. So I've hidden a field, but now if I want to move a user-defined field into the screen, so again, SAP can do that. That's a field of a yes and a no. I'm going to right-click, add this UDF to the main menu. I'm going to put it below the name. And because this field is a yes and a no, I just want to move it, instead of a combo box, as a checkbox. And when I'm going to click on update and OK, I'm going to see that field as a checkbox. Okay, so you can change the way that the field appears. If I want to add a new tab, right-click, create a new tab. So let's say that I want to call it SAP, and then I want to move some fields over, and I'm going to click on OK. So again, you can see everything is very easy. You don't really have to think a lot about it. I'm just going to reopen the customer, and I'm going to see that SAP tab with the screen 3 fields. Obviously, I can increase the size of the screen. Okay, so those 3 fields were added automatically. But now if I want to move, let's say, the BP project, and I want to move it to a new tab, with SAP it's very hard to do, because at SAP you cannot move an item from one tab to another. You have to move them up first and then move them down. In our case, we just choose the tab, choose where we want to place it. You can see that I can change that text style, for example, to bold, and I can put some color to the field, make sure that users do not forget to enter it. But just to simulate the idea that I can color any field that I want, and I can move any field, and it doesn't take me a lot of time to do. When you choose to do anything that has to do with customization, let me just add that screen, then you can see that you have a user selection. So you can select to include or exclude users, okay, and you can also put them into a user group as well. So you can say only the accounting team will have visibility to that tab, all the others, it will be hidden from them. Now, for user-defined fields, I can also add golden arrows, and I can say whenever I choose something from that list, I'm going to get a golden arrow that's going to take me to the item. I can also create user-defined fields as lists and basically play with them. And the way I do it, again, I'm going to open that screen. So you can see that for the for the item, the way we enable that golden arrow is just to say golden arrow belong to whatever I have in the list. And if I don't see something in the list and I want, let's say, the golden arrow to open an add-on screen, then you can choose custom and then you can control by a validation what screen that golden arrow is going to open. It has all the functionalities that buttons will have or a right-click menus will have and so on. Okay, so that was about screen design, but you can also see that I've changed the name of the screen and I've given it a different name here and here and here, and I've added some more menus. One of them goes to our internet page, another goes to and issues a report. In another demo system I had here a Boyum help, and I basically linked it to a manual and to email to our support, and it depends what I want to do, but really I can add menus to anywhere on the screen. In terms of easy access, we have a few things that we can do to enable easy access. And one of them is buttons. And I'm going to show you some of the buttons that we can do. You're going to see them all over the application because we do use them a lot. And we've also added in one of the recent patches the ability to do a right click. So to right click in any screen to get a menu and then to choose your own menu configuration. I'm going to show you that. So for example, as a button, you can see that I have multi-buttons that opens, for example, a quotation, or open, for example, a sales analysis. So it will run the sales analysis for this customer. Okay, so I basically put in the codes of the customer. And it will do, for example, a sales chart, which you can change the configuration and the way it looks. And if you want to look like that, maybe that's not the best graph, but if you want to look to make it look like that, then you can of course change it. We do that with the Boyum tools. We can have buttons that run reports. So that's, for example, a report on invoices and credit memos, and you can see that each golden arrow, one of them is open an AR invoice, another one is opening a credit memo. So we can have multiple golden arrows in reports that goes to very specific documents. That's not possible with SAP, obviously. I can export information to XML, and you're probably asking yourself, what is the complexity of adding a button? So if I want to add a button, then I'm going to click the edit function button to this window, and then I can just click the add and add, let's say, an order button. To add an order button, then I have here a list of functionality, and I can decide what is this button going to do. So I have some options from Boyum, and then I have some options from SAP. So I can pick an order here, and I can say that I only want it to work in OK. And again, those configuration I can set by users. Click on Update and OK, and I'm going to reopen the screen. And you will be able to see the order button because I'm on OK. If I'm going to move to, obviously, Find, those are grayed out. So when I have an order button, then I click on the order and a sales order is added with that name. If that would be a vendor, it would be a purchase order. But let's say I want to add another function. Let's say I want to add a button that goes to the internet and searches for the name of the customer. Okay? Seems like a complex task. But what I want to do, I want to search for that name in the internet. So I'm going to go into my Google, and then I'm going to type here, let's say SAP, and you're going to see the figures or the search results for SAP. Why am I showing you that? Because I want to understand the logic of Google. So if I'm going to replace that SAP with HP in here, it will search for HP. So once I understood that logic, and many URLs have the same logic, you just have to understand how it works, but generally it's not that hard. I'm going to copy that part of the URL, and then I'm going to move it into my new button. So I'm going to call this button Search Google, and that button is going to basically paste or use that URL whenever I click on it. And because I want to search for the name, every field has a representation. So this field is number 7. If you look at the item equals 7 on the bottom left corner. So what I do is $bracket $7.0.0, and basically I'm saying search for the name. I'm going to click on update and OK, and now let's reopen the screen, and I have a button that searches that field on Google. I'm just going to click it. Sorry, I just forgot to define the right type of button. So this should be an external launcher, which means it launches something externally. Search Google searches for PowerMeter technology. If I'm going to move to a different customer and now it's microchips, Search Google is going to find microchip. Okay? In the last patch or 2 patches ago, we've added a menu creator. What it means is that I have here the option to decide on my own right-click options. Those are things that I've added. And the way you do it is just, you add a right-click menu creator. We have it for different fields. They can run any SAP window or any functionality using universal functions and in general, universal functions can do message, and they can do a crystal report, and they can do a file import and export, or a macro, which means an automation, or something that goes on the lines, which is a line loop, and it has a lot of functionality. So if I'm going to click on new here, you're going to see the different functionalities that we have for universal functions. Okay, so with that, I'm going to move to automation. In automation, that's a big part of what we do, because automation can basically automate your thinking process. It can cause a lot of time saving in terms, of picking up the phone, asking for what is the right thing to do at each stage. You can build it into some kind of a logic and run it by automation, and I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. I'm going to start with the first example, which is paying an AP invoice. Okay, there was one customer that asked me once that he wants to do an automatic payment to pay by check. When I'm going into the AP invoice and creating an AP invoice, if I want to pay it, I need to open an outgoing payment. Okay, you know the process of paying an AP invoice in the system? To pay that AP invoice, I need to go into banking and outgoing payments, and then I need to pick that vendor, and I need to search for that invoice that I want to pay, payment means, and then I'm going to come here to the check, Control B to copy the sum of the amount, and I'm going to add the outgoing payment, and then I will basically have created a check. So this check is based on this invoice, okay, 399, and if I'm going to do a print preview, then you can see this is a check slip. Okay, it matches the printing of a check. Okay, why am I showing you that? Because I want to show you what we can do automatically. So I'm just going to duplicate that. Okay, and I'm going to add it. And now I'm going to click on outgoing payment, and watch the screen. It's going to happen quite fast because it's going to do everything that I did, but automatically. And the check is ready. Okay, I can of course print preview it. But basically, it's automating some of your procedures. It can be in different ways, and I'm going to show you now another example. I don't know if do you deal with batches or serial numbers in your operations? Okay, so I've selected the 3 batch items. And why am I showing you that? Because when we issue a batch in a delivery, we need to select the right batch number. But usually the way you issue batches is that you pick closest expiry date, because obviously you want to get rid of that stock. So we've added here a button that does this process automatically with that logic. So again, it's going to happen very fast. I'm going to click on it, and you're going to see the batch number selection picking up the batches for those items, and then I can just click the add. Another example would be, for example, I'm going to show you here some more functionality. So first of all, I want to select items for my sales orders. We prepared here a report that shows us the top items. We can just, of course, filter them, and then I can pick my items that I want to select. It's like our own choose from list. It's just a report that based on that report, I can select the quantity that I want to choose and the items I want to choose. And when I click on select, they're going to be copied into the document. It's just a SQL report that replaces a SAP SQL report with way more functionality. Okay, so I've added my items into the report, and I can here, when I enter the sales order, then I can select to see what we know about this customer. So I know his stats. Last time he bought was 30 days ago, and they have 39 invoices, and so on and so on. That's our developer has created it. By double click on the field, I can see when this customer recently purchased this product. Okay, so you can see all his purchases for this product for this customer. So you can enable a lot of functionalities. And now basically you can continue and add the document. But before I add a document, I want to mention something very important, which is alerts and validation. Every customer I spoke to, I used to work at SAP for 7 years, and I used to meet many, many customers. The thing is that everybody says, I want to have my own alerts, I have my own business process, and if I'm going to ask for that, it's going to be a custom development, and that's going to cost a lot of money. So we have, of course, included one of our high features would be to enable alerts and validations, and I'm going to show you what they mean. So I'm going to start the process by first going into the account. And if you remember in the first slide, we've seen the account balance figure. Okay, so now it's red. The only reason it's red is because that account balance is higher than the credit limit. Once it's below, it's going to be green. Basically, that's instantly telling me what's the customer status right now. And now I can go on there. I don't have a way to add a sales order from here. And at the same moment, you might say, you know, this is nice that it colors it in red, but I want to highlight to the users whenever they choose that customer in the sales order. So I've just picked the same customer. I'm going to click the tab, and again, you see another alert, no available credit. Okay, so you can choose to do whatever you want. You can choose that whenever I'm going to click on the ad, there's going to be a pop-up saying there is no available credit. Or, you know, I'm going to be not going to be able to continue without changing that business partner. Whatever follow-up actions you want to do is available. So as I mentioned, I can select my items from here, or I can use the regular choose from list. Okay, I can change my customer to a web customer just by clicking on that. I can issue those items into a transfer request. That's another macro that takes the items from the sales order into an inventory transfer. And I can see an items report of item purchased by this customer, and I have here, this is what I want to focus on, the fee. Many people have different logic when it comes to adding sales orders. Sometimes they have a promotion, sometimes they have a shipping cost that is based on the items that are in the sales order. Whatever the logic may be that you want the system to do, we can do. So for example, here I have 3 items, and I'm going to click on the fee. Fee is basically calculating the shipment. And when I'm going to click on the fee, It's going to tell me that the number of items in this document is less than 10. Do you want to add a shipment cost item? So if I'm going to click on the yes, a shipment of $30 is going to be added into the sales order. Okay, so a shipment item is added. Now if I'm going to change my order, and let's say I want to add the deal of the month, that's going to copy it from another table, use a defined table. I'm going to change it to 1 and 1. So now it will tell me that the number of items in this document is less than 20. Do you want to add a shipment cost with a 50% discount? So this button is behaving dynamically based on what I have on the screen. So it's basically counting all the rows for the quantity. And whenever I'm going to click on the yes, it's going to add that shipment for $30 with a 50% discount. Obviously, when I click the add, it's going to highlight that I have a discount here. Now, if I'm going to continue and going to remove that row, and I'm going to change that into 10 and this one into 5, and I'm going to click on the fee, then it will tell me that the number of items in this document is more than 20. Customer deserves a free gift. I'm going to click on yes, and I get a shipment for 100% discount and a free gift, and I can move on to add my document. The users don't have to think what to do. They are basically saving many errors and many phone calls to get the right details. We just put that logic into a button. I want you to see that even though it may seem complex, it's not really at all. So basically it's saying the following. Take that whenever I have an item, so for all the items in my document, do a sum of the quantity. Whenever that sum is less than 10, do something, and that something is a message that tells me the question itself, and behind it there is a function that adds the item to it's a one-line macro. And when it's between that and that, then do that. And when it's above, do that. And again, the same one line, and here we have maybe between 1 to 3 lines. That's it. It's really as simple. And it's important that you see how easy it is, because sometimes people look at it and say, okay, there's probably a code behind it. There is no code. I don't know any coding. Okay, it really doesn't take a lot, and that's the big thing about Boyum, because I know other products sometimes ask for VB code whenever you want to add a button or some complex functionality. We have also something called a Toolbox. It allows you to have line searches, for example, on documents where you can enter whatever figure. So office, and it's going to find my office print, and then goes to the next and next and next, and it will add flags, and it will have many things, about 40 different type of functionalities. And on top of it, we have administrative tools. It replaces DTW for some things, not for all. It allows you to do batch update of different things, on activities, on business partners, on item groups. For example, you can replace a sales employee that left and move all his open documents and business partners to another sales employee. So we do have some more management tools, but now I want to move into the print and delivery. Print and delivery is a Crystal report integration that allows you to email, print, save, and many other things as well. We don't only work on SAP screens. You can email any information that you have inside the database. It can also be an add-on document. It can also be a standalone Crystal report that you want to email to the manager let's say every week. And we can use Outlook, SMTP, or Exchange. And I will go into the system rather than just talking, and I will show you what we can do. So I would show you what's coming out of the box, because in general, when you install print and delivery, it comes with all the layouts, all the Crystal reports, all the functionality. It comes ready. The only thing you want to do is customize your own business logic and customize the layouts. Obviously, you probably are not going to do enough with the layouts that we provide. So that's the first thing I want to start with. and let's say you do an AR invoice, and click the add, then an email is going to be generated to Norm Thompson. The matter of clicking on the ad and emailing, that's a matter of choice. Of course, you can choose not to do that. So now it goes into my draft, and you will see Norm Thompson attached is your AR invoice, and those are the layouts I talked about, that they come with the print and delivery. Many customers would like to, or are not sure they want to hit the ad and send an email, so we give them the option to use something called mass delivery. And mass delivery allows you to send emails in a batch. So for example, I can pick here the sales quotations document, and I can say that I want to email. I always say email, but we can do a save and print preview as well. And I can put some filters here, click OK, and then I can start picking all the quotations I want to email. Whenever I'm going to click on OK, again, it's going to email them, and you have the option to choose if you want to email them directly or you want to save it into a draft. And because we're in a demo, then I saved it in a draft, and you can see here that in some cases I've actually grouped documents together because they have the same contact person. Okay, that's the only thing. Okay, now you might say, but I don't want to deal with emails. I don't care about emails. I just want a system that is going to manage that for me. So in print and delivery, obviously, we've added something called a schedule. And in the schedule, the same thing, I can pick, let's say I want to email on all my invoices, and I want to do that by email, and I need to put a success email and an error email, put my filters, and put it on a schedule, whatever the schedule may be. And then it runs on something called server component, which you install on the server. It's a free install that we provide, and then it runs automatically without even being in SAP. So you don't really have to be inside SAP to make it work. It can work offline. Okay, so that's schedule. But that's kind of out of the box, and now I want to talk to you about where you can take this product, because B1UP is a customization tool. Print and delivery, it's like an email tool. But in print and delivery, there is a lot of customization that I can do. And one of the things that we can start with is that I can decide for any document what would be the logic of sending emails. So I can take into account different parameters at a business partner and say that whenever that parameter is taking place, then do something. So for example, I can say that for a UDF, you see I've taken into account a UDF, it's this one, and I'm basically saying whenever it's show or email, take that values into account. So I can say that whenever that user-defined field is set to show, then do something else. Whenever it's email, do something else. Whenever the language is, I don't know, Hebrew, then do something else. You see a Hebrew here. And like that, we can control what's going to happen, which report is going to be sent out, which crystal, in which language, with which email text. And I can also add some more configuration for properties. And basically, it's working by hierarchy. So it first looks for any business partners that are assigned, let's say, this property, and then users that have this user-defined field, and then a language, and so on and so on. Okay, so that's kind of a system that decides whenever we add a business partner, it checks in that system if it has any UDF or language specific that requires me to do something else in that case. For every document that we've enabled print and delivery, we can choose the crystal. We can have multiple configuration for the same AR invoice, but we can choose the crystal. We can choose to which printer it's going to go. I can put those values as dynamic, and then I can also do a PDF. And in that PDF, you see some dynamic syntax because it's basically a keyword that we provide that allows you to save it wherever it is that you want to save. And if I'm going to click here F1, then you can save it generally in different folders, or you can type your own folder. And when people ask me if I want to archive all my documents, then I say go and do mass delivery with a saving functionality, and it will save all of that in PDF or whatever, because I right now chose a PDF, but I can do any other format. Okay, and then this is where I define what happens on the email as well, so what text, and everything is multi-language, so I can type the text in whatever language and to who it needs to be sent. And I have here a big list of emails, or I can type my own email, and I can really do a lot of things in here and add some additional documents as well. But I want to show you an example of where we take the system and put our own logic. So I'm going to go into a sales quotation, and I want you to imagine the following situation. You're doing sales quotations for new leads and old leads. So let's say I'm doing a quote for Norm Thompson. Norm Thompson is one of our favorite customers. I'm going to click on add, and Norm Thompson is going to get the following email like that. Attached is your sales quotation, which is a regular PDF. But if I'm going to do a quotation to a new business partner, so let's say a test. So that's a new lead, right? What did I miss? I already did test, so test 1. So this is a new lead, it's new in the system, it's the first time I communicate with him. I click on the ad, and now I'm going to get that email, but that email is going to look different because it's going to have an additional attachment, a brochure of a product. It can be a catalog, it can be whatever. It can be the item design in PDF, whatever it is that you want to further attach. And also, so that it was the same document, different emails, and also you see this message, an alerts overview pop up, because what happened in the background when I did this quotation is automatically in the background there was an activity created. I didn't click that, it actually did it all from the ad, and the activity is an activity to follow up on that quote with that content. So it's been 5 days, please follow up. And I have here an attachment, and basically this was done all automatically. And the way we did it is, if I go to the print and delivery, then this is the true power of print and delivery. Everything up to now, it's nice, it's okay, it really saves a lot of time, but the ability to run your own logic with SQL, like we did with the validation, this is the big thing, because I can with a SQL define what should happen, and in the case of a new lead, then it's doing multiple things. So I can continue to add. The first thing, it's sending an email with an additional attachment. Second, it's doing an activity to remind the sales employee to follow up. And I can add here a third one that does internal message to Dana. Let's say Dana is the manager. New lead. And now Dana is going to receive a message. So I can continue and add multiple actions to do multiple things and really customize it in different ways to make sure I always send the right type of communication. Last example I want to show you, and with that we finish, is that we can define our own systems. For example, I can define a system. I don't have a crystal report behind it. It's going to email the manager. It's unrelated to any document. It's just something that is based on a crystal report. And then I can also do something called due date reminder system. It's a system that was designed for the Scandinavian customers we have. And they asked to remind their customers that they have due date or invoices are past due or due within 2 days. Oh, I wanted to click the preview. It was a mistake, but that's okay because it's just sent the entire 6 emails. And the way it looks like that. Invoice due, it's HTML. It's not even plain text. And it has all the invoices attached that we saw in that table. So you see it's processing all those pages. And the same goes for any of the other business partners that you see a table. All those invoices, it matches some kind of a SQL a statement, so that's coming from a SQL, and then from that SQL we derive and attach the right documents. Okay? So really you can customize it to any level. What I showed you right now, the sample of the due date reminder, we actually share with our customers, and we give them the bulk of the HTML so they can use it. We've seen the major products that we have, and we have a lot of testimonials of people liking our product. But I want to talk about an ROI for the B1UP, because companies might going to ask you that. And when you have a company with 20 users and you have a monthly cost of an employee and a cost of an error, then with B1UP, with buttons and right-click and approvals, automations and macros, we can win 20 minutes a day and we can avoid one error, and that would be our gain. So that's a question of an investment rather than an expense, and that's how I phrase it when I talk to customers. And just before we conclude, any customers can have a free day, 20 days free trial. As a partner can have all our products for free to use. We have an extended YouTube channel that we publish a lot of things. We also have a learning center and a community center where we basically enable different things. So we write articles, and we also have a community where people can ask us questions, or they can ask for some features, and you will see that many cases we have completed or planning or not planning. We also always keep people up to date with what's going on with the request, and you can see that many are completed, and some of those are coming from users, some of those from us, from a previous system. And you can see what's pending, because I know what's coming in the next patch. We just released it yesterday, so we just are left with one planned, but we always update our users. We always make sure they know everything that's going on, and they can go in and enter a new request or enter a new questions where we answer them, okay, if they don't want to do it by the support. And we really try to make sure that everything that we do is visible to our partner community. For any other questions, we're always here, and then we can just continue from this point on. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great day. Bye-bye.